Clark and Sophie Cunningham are reportedly done with the WNBA, and not just frustrated, not just threatening leaving, and suddenly the entirely looks like it just saw a ghost. This isn't as a player transfer, this is a full-blown seismic shift in women's basketball. If you listen closely, you can already hear the sound of panic echoing from WNBA headquarters, because if this was the one thing they couldn't let happen, but it did. If you're here for the real story and not to filter version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Okay. Lynn Clark, the face, the phenomenon, the franchise-saving future women basketball, has been fed up for months, and now she's packing your bags. And she's not alone. Sophie Cunningham, her ride or die, her vocal ally, her encore protector. She's leaving the sun. Only the W is facing a player exodus. It's facing rebellion. Let's be clear, this was avoidable. The writing's been on the wall for a month ever since Clark and led. She's been playing a pressure cooker, sold out arenas, media frenzy, sky-high expectations, and a physical toll that make NFL line and wins. And what did the lead do? Nothing. No improved protections, no meaningful change in officiating, no real investment in injury prevention or recovery, just headlines, just hashtags, just hype, until Caitlin got hurt, and then everything fell apart. Ticket sales down, viewership down, public trust in the league's ability to protect its stars gone, all because one player, a rookie mind, you decided she couldn't keep breaking back for lead that wasn't lifting a finger for that injury. Wasn't just a personal setback. It was the tipping point. While Clark was off the court, something happened at the league couldn't ignore. No matter how hard I tried, people stopped watching. The electricity she brought to every game flickered out, and suddenly the WNBA, big as vulnerability, was exposed in real time. They bit everything on one star and weren't ready for what will happen if she couldn't play. And what happened? Chaos. The All-Star game, which was supposed to be a celebration of the league's progress, looked more like a cautionary tale. Ticket prices plummeted, interest evaporated, the media started asking hard questions, and fans out loud, why is a league so fragile? Why is it built like this? And just as the whispers turned to shouting, here comes a twist that no one saw coming, but everyone should have. Europe is calling, and they're not just knocking politely, they're offering everything. The WNBA isn't. Higher pay, better treatment for seasoned medical staff, private jets, first-class marketing deals, respect, you name it. The overseas leagues came, and like sharks in a feeding frenzy, and the they just stood there. So what do you think Clark did? She looked at the crumbling infrastructure, the exhausted teammates, the fans begging for answers. And she said what everyone else was too scared to say: I'm out, not out of the game, out of the league. And she's not leaving quietly. She's taken a conversation with her, the spotlight, the sponsors, the fans, and Sophie Cunningham. She's right there with her, holding the door open. This isn't just the betrayal, this is exposure, because for all the talk the WNBA has done about progress and equity and growing the game, when push came to shove, they let their biggest stars get shoved around literally and metaphorically without consequence, and now they're paying the price. Let's talk nerve for a second. When Clark missed time, the league saw up to a 48% drop in ticket prices. That is absurd. No single players have that much impact. And yet here we are, because when entire market machine is built around one person, what happens when she's not? Dare collapse, and the fallout is just beginning. Because this isn't just Clark Cunningham decision. This is a signal, a blueprint. The European leagues knew what they were doing when they dangle million-dollar contracts in front of players tired of being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. They saw the fractures. The WNBA moved fast before the league, or even respond. This is how you get a league. The inside out. You don't steal the players, you offer them something better. And honestly, who and take it in Europe? Clark won't be a flashpoint. She'll be the moment. Sure, out of her marketing campaign, a better schedule, and a team that actually prioritizes or physical health. She'll have recovery days, medical tech, paid media appearances, time to breathe. In the she had target practice, defense, back-to-back row games, and a lead pretending not to see what was happening. And now the surprise you left. Please, what makes the sting even worse is that the league knew this was possible. Every analyst, for every insider, everyone said the same thing. They don't fix as soon they're going to lose her. And they didn't. They waited. They brushed it off the gas at their own fans. And now it's too late, because what Caitlin and Sophie are doing isn't just walking away. It's taking the spotlight with them. It's saying we're done begging for change. We're just going where already exist. And if that doesn't shake the lead to its core, I don't know what's next. That's the terrifying part, because with the way things are moving, this could be the start of a wave of full-scale migration. The younger players, they're watching the stars who've been grinding for years without proper pay for medical treatment watching. And if Caitlin Clark can walk away from the W, then suddenly anyone can delete just loss as most valuable player, and its narrative. And here's the real kicker. This isn't just about basketball. It's about labor. It's about athlete empowerment. It's about what happens when you ignore the very people who make your product exist. The CBA disputes the player complaints, the rumors of union rifts. Those weren't background noise. They were alarms league chose to sleep through. And now, with their best player gone and or second best willingly follow her overseas, they're wide awake. Wake, just a little too late now. You got international leagues licking their chops, global recruiters with deep pockets and better infrastructure circling like vultures, and the WNBA scrambling try to figure out how market games that don't include their most watched player try implode a whole damn. I would press releases and hopeful slogans. But the damage is done. The fans, they're frustrated, the players fed up, and league on the verge of losing its grip on global relevance. So as to fix, honestly, there isn't a quick one, because this isn't just about money. It's about respect. It's about safety. It's about modernize and way you treat talent before your talent modernizes. Without you, the WNBA is facing an existential threat. And this time, it's not from budget cuts or low ratings. It's from within, from the decisions not made from the players or refusal listened to from the stars they thought would never leave. And the moral of the story, you don't get ignore your best and brightest and expect them to stay loyal, especially not when the whole world is watching, especially not when Europe is offering the dream. So where do we go from here? Maybe the wake-up call. Maybe the league finally gets serious about structural reform. Maybe they start protecting their players like their survival depends on it. Because newsflash, it does. But right now, the WNBA is bleeding, and Caitlin Clark, she just walked out the front door, turned around, and said you should have listened. And now it's your turn. What you think this mean for the future of women's basketball? Can the WNBA recover? Or has league finally hit the point of no return? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe for more drama, least truth bombs, and stay locked in. Because the story, it's only getting more explosive. Because here's the thing, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham leaving the WNBA isn't just a crisis, it's a revelation. It's confirmation where a lot of fans, players, and even execs have quietly feared for years, but don't say out loud. The WB has no backup plan, there's no tinge, and see no player development pipeline raid, pick up the slack, no marking machine that can suddenly pivot to or next big thing. Because the truth is they never expected this moment to come. They never thought a player like Clark, so many courted, hyped, leaned on, would actually walk away. But here we are, and why? But even more surreal is that Caitlin Clark didn't leave in anger and go on some revenge tour. She left because she had to, because she saw the reality that nobody wanted to admit. The league she was opposed lead into future wasn't go to support her or players like her. When things got real, it was built to benefit from her as long as she could keep performing. And when our body gave out, when the physicality and lack of calls finally broke down, they left her hanging. No full-throated defense from the league, no accountability, just silence. And in that silence, Europe came calling. You yet to understand how wild that is. The Caitlin Clark is the WNBA moment. She was the one pulling non-traditional fan into the stands, the one turning casual viewers into diehards. She made people care who never cared before, and instead of doing everything protect her, the league let her become a target game after game, body by go after body blow, and not a single meaningful adjustment, no top-down directive, the reign, and excessive physicality, no league-wide discussions on safety, just a shrug, some vague sound bite about lend them play in the hope that Clark just deal with it, but she noticed, she remembered. And now she's walking, and Sophie's walking with her, which only makes a blow even harder. Let's not pretend this is just a two-player story. Sophie Cunningham may not have the same spotlight as Caitlin Clark, but she's a voice of presence. She's a vet who saw league from inside and still chose it. Take her talent elsewhere, that's huge. It's as even those of us who've been around for years have hit our limit. This is not as a rookie rebellion. This is a movement. And it's not just players either. Fans are starting to turn, not on the game itself, but on the league, because if you're showing up buying to it's supporting your team and watching your favorite players get injured with zero accountability, the loyalty starts to erode. The message van to getting loud and clear is your favorite disposable. The second they get hurt, the league moves on. The second they speak up, the league goes quiet. The second a lot leave, well, now it's panic mode. Now suddenly there's urgency. Now maybe there's a task force being formed in some back office, but it's too late. You can't retrofit loyalty after players have already left. You can't reverse a decision after someone's career path has changed, and that's what's wild. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham aren't just moving to a different league, they're shifting into a different mindset. One where the athlete has the power with the system works for them, not the other way around overseas. There's no pretending that the league is a star. They know the players are the product. They act accordingly. And here's what might really keep WNBA execs up at night with Clark doesn't come back. What if your year becomes home? What if she builds our brand globally, launches a signature issue, and Milan signs of the fashion house in Paris, becomes a Serena Williams of international hoops, and never return to the W? What if other stars follow her blueprint? What if this is the start of something irreversible? Because that's the thing. Clark didn't just leave because of injury or officiating or money. She left because the WNBA current model does work for players want long-term stability, visibility, and respect, and fans know it. Social media is already filled with posts saying if Caitlin's out, I'm out, or Sophie's going, say less. It's not just disappointment, it's disillusionment. People want to support the W are now away, wondering if it's even worth it. And again, it didn't have to be this way. The MB had a golden opportunity, a generational player, a surge in popularity, a clear cough reform, and instead of rising to meet the moment, they hesitated. They protected the system instead of the players. And now they're watching that system implode. Think about the long-term effects here. What happens when young girls who idolize Clark realize the lead and protect her? What happens when college stars see this and start planning international careers from day one? What happens when Future Town doesn't even consider the W as their end goal? Because that's what's on the table now, a full-on identity crisis. The WNBA was supposed to be the destination, the top, the pinnacle of women's basketball, but now it looks like a stepping stone, a springboard, a temporary, eerie gig before the real opportunity comes calling from across the Atlantic. And unless the league changes course fast, it's going to lose more than two players. It's going to lose a narrative. Because once you lose, if you're not leading anymore, you're reacting. And honestly, the WNBA has been reacting for too long. Reacting to fan outrage, reacting to injuries, reacting to labor disputes, reacting to declining trust. But it's never proactive, never ahead of the curve, never truly taking care of players before camera get involved. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham just expose that truth in whether you agree with their decision or not. One thing's clear, they do with the league win, but the players first, and now the ball's in the league's court, but bouncing on a very unstable floor. So what does the future look like? Well, in the short term, expect to scramble, expect the WNBA to make big flashy gestures. We hear you were working on it, maybe even a mid-season policy announcement, but gestures aren't trust. And you can't BR your way out of this in the long term. That's up to the players. Because right now they control the story, they control the fan loyalty, the money, the movement. And if they keep walking out that door, the league won't survive on good and tensions and vintage highlight reels. It'll need to rebuild from inside out, and maybe that's what Caitlin Clark's legacy will really be, not just three-pointers or sold-out arenas, but the moment you force an entire institution to finally face the truth that women athletes aren't just icons, they're leaders, they're labor, and they're not waiting for permission anymore. The WNBA still doesn't seem understand just how deep the water is, because what Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are doing isn't just headline grabbing, it's system shaking. They're not throwing a tantrum, they're not storm off in a half. They're making a calculated decision, the same way any top-tier profession would when workplace becomes unsafe, unsustainable, and frankly unworthy their talent. Let's be honest here, these women are not just athletes, they are brands, businesses, and living, breathing empires. And the WN, for all as we support women marketing, it's still run like a startup that didn't expect to go viral overnight. And now it's collapsing under the weight of its own action. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to say too loudly. Caitlin Clark's injury wasn't just bad luck, it was inevitable outcome of a lead that prioritizes optics over infrastructure, that sells out arenas and headlines, but won't invest in basic player protection. Caitlin wasn't injured in a freak accident, she was injured because she was thrown into the meat grinder of a hyper-physical, under-regulated league that reads great as a stand-in for actual rules and fallout. It was immediate when she went down, so did ticket prices, TV ratings, and let's be honest, fam, around, because when you build your whole operation on the back of one star, and that star gets hurt, what else do you expect? We watch the illusion color apps in real time, the packed stadiums turn half empty, the buzzy social media engagement fell off a cliff, and suddenly, the WNBA is entire "this is our moment" narrative looked more like this was a temporary spike we had no plan to sustain. And then just when they needed a step up to act decisively to protect their investment, the league ghosted. No statement of accountability, no immediate rule changes, no initiative to review officiating and for consistency in physical contact, nothing, just a whole lot, hoping Caitlin would heal, shut up, and come back. But what happened instead? She woke up, she looked around, she listened to her body, she listened to fans, teammates, even critics, and what she saw was a league that wanted her highlights, but not her humanity. So she bounced respectfully, of course, but make no mistake, she bounced, and Sophie Cunningham isn't far behind. Because when you see a fellow player, a friend, a superstar go to hell in plain sight, zero support, that makes your own decision very easy. Now the conversation has shifted from can the WNBA protected stars to should stars even stay when bought. And that's a dangerous place to be. Because look, we've seen players leave before, we've seen European contracts learning, and veterans looking for a soft schedule or one last big payday. But this is different. This is a swan song. It's a strategy. This is to players and prime their career, saying we deserve better and we're a go. Get it? And that's not just the flex it, a blueprint. You think other players aren't watching this unfold? You think they're not already in the DMs of international coaches? You think European agents aren't ramping up their recruiting budgets as we speak? Please, the doors is got kicked open. And here's where the WNBA really needs to be scared. If Clark and Cunningham thrive overseas, and they will then entire conversation around what it means to make it in women's basketball changes for the last few decades. The WNBA has held that spot as a final destination to go the mountaintop. Out of Europe becomes a place where stars feel safer, more respected, better paid. That mountaintop becomes optional and maybe even obsolete. That's the existential threat, not just the laws of Clark or him, but the idea that the WNBA is no longer the pinnacle, that there's a better way, that the dream lives somewhere else. And once that idea takes hold, it spreads fast. Because the fans, they don't care what continent the game's on, they care about the players, and if those players start showing out in space, Spain and Turkey and Italy, If the competition's better, the pay is higher, and the treatment of professional, then you best believe fans will follow. Merge sales, social numbers, viewership. It's all tied. Who's on the court, not which lead they're in. That's the terrifying truth the WNBA ignored until it slapped them across the face, and now they're scrambling quietly, desperately trying to figure out how to look like they're responding without admitting they dropped the ball so hard it bounced into another country. Maybe they'll announce new player wellness initiative. Maybe they'll upgrade travel options. Maybe they'll finally revisit officiating pro recalls, but the thing is, it's too late to fix it before players start walking out in waves, and you can bet the union's watching this too, because the cracks in the relationship between the players and the league have been growing for years. Low pay, subpar travel, poor injury protocols. Those issues didn't start with Clark. They've just been amplified by, or now suddenly, the next round of CBA negotiations looks like a war zone waiting to happen, because the players just got a taste of what life can be like elsewhere, and if the W can't match it, not just in dollars, in dignity, then it won't just be two players leaving, it'll be an exodus. So what's next? That's the million-dollar question. And it might literally be a million-dollar question, because if the WNBA doesn't start drawing serious money, respect, and structure at his talent, then those European deals, and I start looking a whole lot more like the standard and exception. But here's the bigger question: what if this is good? What of Clark and Cunningham leaving? Is Exa